Tiffany Young is our guest speaker today, and I will let her introduce herself and maybe give a brief background of how she ended up here at SMAR, and then proceed with her presentation. Tiffany, do you have anything to show? Do you need access to share your screen or anything?
No, I don't. Um,
Okay.
so yes, hello everyone. My name is Tiffany Young. Um, I work at Williams, McClernan and Stack, and we are corporate counsel for SMAR. So Kelly reached out and asked if I would just come on, introduce myself, explain what we do, and then if I could provide some commercial information for you all related to commercial real estate. So, for any of you who have been to some of my CE trainings that I do, I tend to talk fast. So, I have notes everywhere. I probably have 5 minutes worth of information with how fast I talk. So, I'm going to try and talk slow. If you all have any questions, please feel free to ask them. That will help me also. But again, I'm excited to be here and talk with you all this morning. So, like I said, my name is Tiffany Young. I am an associate attorney with Williams, McClernan and Stack. We are a general practice law firm located, in Leonardtown, Maryland. As a general practice law firm, we handle a bunch of different cases. So we handle domestic cases such as divorce, custody, adoption, child support, and guardianship. We handle criminal cases. We handle estate planning. So we do wills, powers of attorney, and advanced directives. We handle estate administration. So if an individual has passed away and there needs to be a case probated, we handle civil cases, and that includes small business law and landlord and tenant. And we also handle real estate matters. So as I stated, we are the corporate counsel for SMAR, and we do a bunch of different things in that role. One of those things is that we manage the legal line. And so I believe a few of you may have already contacted the legal line, just looking at the invite list and some of the people that I see here now. The legal line, for those of you that don't know, is a mechanism for brokers and office managers to ask questions in situations where some additional guidance is needed. And so when the legal line was put together, the thought process is that individuals or individual agents would contact their brokers first if they have questions. And then if there's additional assistance needed, that those brokers could reach out to the legal line, which is why everyone doesn't necessarily have access. So we are not there to trump any of your broker's guidance. So that's why that chain of command is set in place. Now we have had a few glitches with it. And so if you have sent out a question and it has gone unanswered, because I'm the one that typically mans the legal line, please resend if that issue still presents. And I am likely the one that will respond to that. Does anybody have any questions about the legal line? No? Okay, great. Another thing that we do as corporate counsel for SMAR is that we teach the majority of the CE marathon classes. And I am pretty much the one that has been teaching those. I will be teaching the one coming up next week. So if anyone is attending, you'll see me. I teach the majority of the classes. There's one class that I don't teach, the managing broker relations. I do not teach that class. So there's always a guest speaker that comes in for that one. So if anyone signed up, like I said, next week, I will be teaching those. The firm may start teaching some of them in the future, but as of right now, I'm the one assigned to do that. It has been a lot of fun, and I lose my voice almost every time talking for 2 days straight. But I think it's a great time and a lot of information learned for everyone that attends. So, does anyone have any questions about that? Okay. One of the things that I do during the CE marathons is that I teach a legal and legislative update. So that's right up my alley as a lawyer, getting into the laws that have come out related to real estate. And Maryland Realtors does a great job of putting together those laws that are related to real estate. So it helps fine tune my search when I go through and review all of those laws. But the new legislative session has ended. for this year. So which means there are new laws that have or will take effect. And so I thought I could take this time today and give you all some information about some of those new laws, not all of them, because I don't want to spoil it for those of you that will be with me next week, because you'll hear it again. But I will go over a few of them so that you're aware of them. And it's always interesting for me when I do these sessions to make sure that you all understand not only the laws that passed, but the ones that did not pass. And so when I first started doing this, I got a lot of feedback about, well, why are we talking about the ones that did not pass? And so it's important because the legislative sessions are very cyclical. So a law that didn't pass in one session is likely to come back the next session. So knowing which laws are out there, which laws are likely to come back, and which ones may impact you in the future is also very beneficial. So the ones that I'm going to go over today, I'm going to go over 3. 1 did not pass, and 2 did pass. Maryland Realtors also, in their legislative review, sometimes takes positions on these bills. And so I tend to let you know if Maryland Realtors did take a position, what that position was. I don't have why they took that position, but I will know what that position is. The commercial and industrial section of the legislative update is usually very light. It is not, compared to residential real estate, it is not the most expansive part of the legislative update. And despite some of the laws being categorized as commercial, they don't always fit that category. So I tried to pick some that I thought maybe actually would apply to you. And hopefully that is the case and that this will be beneficial for you. All right. So the first one is House Bill 896 and Senate Bill 885. And I can send this all to Kelly so that you don't have to write it down feverishly. So that was property tax appeals, commercial and industrial property fees. So this was the one bill that did not pass during this session. And Maryland Realtors opposed it. So Maryland Realtors didn't like it and it didn't pass. So seems to be a great thing. But this bill would have required filing fees for commercial or industrial property assessment appeals when those properties were valued above $1 million. So if an individual wanted to seek an appeal and their property was above $1 million to property assessment, there'd be a filing fee. Now, what are those filing fees? They were $50 if the appeal was going to be to the Property Tax Assessment Appeals Board, and $100 for an appeal to the Maryland Tax Court. So they were still minimal in the amount of their fees, but there were filing fees. Are there filing fees now? So this is a question to you all, because I don't always get all of the information from the bills. I would assume that if they're imposing these fees, that there are not fees now. Is that correct? Asking you all. Do you all know? No, you don't know? Or no, there aren't. Anybody? I think, Lily, you're talking, but you're on mute.
I've never appealed a property tax, so I don't know.
Yeah. That was going to be my next question. Has anyone ever done these appeals? Because the bill talks about what would be a successful appeal if there was a resulting change in value or change in property classification. So I'm guessing if someone were seeking to change their classification or that they were seeking a different valuation, then they could appeal it. So if it's not something you all have encountered, just something, I guess, to let your clients know potentially in the future. Jen, did you unmute because you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I've helped clients, residential clients, appeal their tax bills by providing them comparables. And one client, I went with them, they were elderly. So.
Okay. So it would likely be a similar process just for commercial instead of the residential. Okay. Any questions about that bill? No? All right. So the next bill is Senate Bill 90, House Bill 37. It did pass, and the Maryland Realtors did not take a position. They just said they were going to monitor the bill. Now, this is one of those bills that it will impact everyone, but it's not necessarily specific to commercial law, but is related to commercial in that is how the bill was titled. So it's titled Commercial Law, Consumer Protection, Telephone Solicitation, and the tagline of the bill is Stop the Spam Calls Act of 2023. So what this bill does is it prohibits a person from making telephone solicitations that involve automatic systems for the selection or dialing of telephone numbers or playing a recorded message when the phone's answered, unless written consent is given. That law also restricts the method, times, and identifying information that an individual has to give when making those calls. So some of the things that the bills list: you can't conceal the true nature of your caller. So an individual can't use robocalls and choose a number in your jurisdiction or in your area to make those calls. You have to call between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. in the called party's time zone. So if you're calling someone from a different time zone, you have to make sure that you're paying attention to their time zone. You cannot call more than 3 times in a 24-hour period on the same matter or issue, regardless of the number used. So if you have multiple numbers listed and they call all of those numbers, it's still 3 times total. And no voice altering mechanism can be used specifically to defraud the individual being called. And those are just to name a few. There are lots of regulations for that. I know personally, I've been getting a lot more spam calls, which might have prompted the legislatures to do this. And I don't know if any of your commercial clients utilize robocalls, but if they do, they might want to be wary of that and ensuring that they're complying with this new law. It will not take effect until January 1st, 2024. So there are a few months to sort of get in compliance with that. But that was something to put on your radar. Any questions about that bill? You guys are very quiet this morning. We're going to be done very quickly. All right. The last bill is Senate Bill 550, House Bill 546. It's financial regulation, and it's the Maryland Community Investment Venture Fund establishment. Its tagline is the Access to Banking Act. It passed and became effective July 1st of 2023. So this bill is effective now. And Maryland Realtors did support it. So the bill creates the Maryland Community Investment Venture Fund, whose purpose is to incentivize banking institutions and credit unions to better serve the needs of residents in low to moderate income areas. It'll create offsets for certain banking institutions and credit unions in those areas to do a few things: to invest in the development of financial product or underwriting innovations that will enhance access to capital, funding, and other financial services for businesses in these areas. So even though the bill tagline sort of makes it seem like it's for individuals, it's targeting businesses. So small businesses in these lower to moderate income areas who need better access to funds for capital or other funding sources that they would need to run their businesses. This fund is supposed to deploy, test, and evaluate those innovations and promote and make those innovations available to banking institutions and credit unions. Now, they have until 2038 to figure this out. So they've got 15 years. So it sounds like a wonderful thing that maybe some of your business clients could utilize. And even though it'll be effective, it's effective now. Realistically, there's nothing that will really happen right now. But good to know that they are looking into funding sources or ways that banks and credit unions can assist businesses in low to moderate income areas of the state. Then the question is, what areas are those, which is not specifically defined. But these may be methods for some of your commercial real estate clients to be able to access funding for their businesses. Does anyone have any questions about that bill?
Tiffany, so who gets to determine where the low to moderate income areas are?
Yes. So there's a commissioner that's in charge, that will be appointed, that will be in charge of this venture fund that will have a lot of abilities. Some of that includes how much money goes into it, who gets access to it, what those tracks are. And I'm sure they're not going to make that determination solely, but they will be sort of the figurehead to be in charge of this fund and make a lot of decisions about it. And they can put money in and make decisions up until 2038. Any other questions? Lily?
Yeah, just to clarify about the phone solicitation, did that pass or no?
It did pass, and it becomes effective January 1st of 2020.
January 1st. Thank you.
No problem. Any other questions from anyone? No? Any questions about anything? Anything related to what I do at SMAR?
Tiffany, are you by chance approved to teach any commercial specific courses?
I don't know that answer.
As a commercial committee, we're looking to build our commercial education platform. So I know that you do a lot of our stuff here. So I was just curious. We have a NAR commercial services accreditation as well that is up for renewal in December. So we're kind of trying to look at different commercial specific courses that might be available. But if anything comes across your desk that might be commercial related that you think you might be able to, maybe me, you and Robin can collaborate on that and see.
Do you know if there's a special certification? Because that's why I can't teach the managing broker relationships, because there's a specific training that hasn't been offered that I haven't been able to take.
So as far as CE goes, it's just anything that's approved, the outline's approved through the.
Oh, you went on mute, Kelly. Oh, there you go. You're back off. I don't know what happened.
Weird. I don't know what happened either. I didn't even touch anything. Oh, here comes Robin rolling down the hallway. Oh, she said no. You cannot teach the agency class. Okay. However, we can do any kind of, it doesn't have to be CE. So if it's a commercial workshop or like a legal commercial update or something of that nature, I'm just throwing ideas out there, but you may be able to think of something more specific than my experience with it. So, but just curious, if anything that you may think of or comes across, your desk and think, oh, that would be great for a class or a workshop or whatever. Just feel free to reach out to me.
Okay. And if there's something that comes up, same for you all, and you reach out and I can let you.
Yeah, I got to meet with Robin and RJ and just, get some ideas from them. I don't do the education portion of things. So obviously Robin knows a lot more than I do. Yes. But I'm always like, we need this, we need this, we need this. So then they try to figure everything out.
Okay.
One of the things that we had talked about that might be a benefit to our members, if you would be open to just kind of going through some of the common terms in a commercial contract.
Okay.
I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. Especially for those in residential that are trying to transition or anything of that nature. So they, are more informed.
Absolutely. I think that's a good one. Anyone else? Any ideas or thoughts or questions?
Do you have anything specific that you think that you come across that would be a benefit to the commercial practitioners in the area?
Not off the top of my head. And part of the issue also is I don't know what you all see that we don't, or that would be beneficial for you all, because I'm one step removed, so as the attorney, the things that we see sometimes are just related to other attorneys. And so it would be helpful if maybe I sat in on a meeting to hear some of the concerns that you all have, and that would better help me tailor, oh, here are things that I could assist you all with, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Yeah, you're more than welcome to attend any. We have a meeting right after this if you have time to stay. If not, we meet the fourth Thursday of every month. Our speakers are usually 9:30 to 10, and then we have our meeting right after that are not very long at all. So whenever you want to attend, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I don't think I can attend this time, but if I'm invited, maybe I can attend the next one.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I will send you the link and information for the Zoom and everything. We have Brandon Poland, the Indian Head Mayor, is going to be our speaker next month in August. And then we'll have our meeting right directly following that. So usually they're not more than an hour. I don't think we've ever had one more than an hour with the speaker and everything, a meeting all together.
No, I think that would be helpful, especially as we're in this role now as corporate counsel, really understanding what you all need, and then talking to Richard and Robin about how we then make that something tangible for you all to receive.
Sounds great. Does anybody else have any questions for Tiffany before we let her go?
Thanks so much for being with us this morning.
No problem. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you
Good
so
information.
much.
Thank you for the information.
No problem. And I will definitely send it to Kelly, so that you all have it also.
Okay.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tiffany. We will see you around.
All right. Thank you all. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.